Peace, family. Um, I'm about to show you a picture right now of John Lewis when he was a young man. Hold on one second. This is John Lewis. He passed away a few years ago, but he's the guy that performed the wedding of white people on Morning Joe, uh, big civil rights leader. I want you to listen to this nonsense. That this is why our organization, our movement, has gone stagnant ever since it never had a chance to succeed.
Organization they had. In the book, you discuss the training program that civil rights activists went through, organized by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And you write this. King's organization, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, established a school in Dorchester, Georgia for recruiting and training. These recruits were invited to the school for week-long courses where they learned how to hold a meeting, make a long-distance phone call, or to talk to a hostile white sheriff. Then they went back to their communities to make what the movement called good trouble. Once the basic principles had been imparted, the volunteers would begin to practice. In the evening sessions, they sat at long tables pretending they were at lunch counters, while other students played the role of harassing whites. C.T. Vivian, who became a close associate of King, recalled that we actually poured coffee on people and kicked chairs out from under them. Students learn how to take the blows, not just physically, but mentally, so they could endure being spit on and still respond with some sense of dignity. And Reverend Al, that was the balance.
Let me stop this right here. You spit on me, all diplomacy goes out the window, bruh. You didn't just change the whole dynamic of this conversation. Trust and believe. I would have never even once I've read the criteria of this training. Ain't no way in the world we'd have been fighting up in there. So if I ain't gonna take black people kicking the chair from underneath me, pouring coffee over my head, you dang, ain't no way in the world I'm gonna take nobody white doing it. You, woo. but let's continue.
That was the balance. Such a difficult balance that you were talking about.
No, Wyatt T. Walker, who died a couple of years ago, was the first chairman of the board when I started National Action Network 31 years ago. And he would tell me about these sessions. My beat coming out of the North, I didn't know any of it, and I was a generation behind them. And he said, no, we practiced being spat at. We practiced having coffee poured on us. We practiced how we would deal with hostility because we had to be the moral counterpoint to that. And Tom, I think you could tell more than I could. This was almost like going to boot camp, and they would discipline them if you got out of line, which is Hosea Williams was the one that gave me the medallion everybody teases me about. But I used to wear that because I thought I was a soldier in the army after they gave me these stories. But they took it very seriously, like they were going into the armed forces. They were going into, for lack of a better term, disarmed forces to disarm racism in America.
So while your oppressor is attacking you, and they spitting on you first of all to get you to react, so they can shoot you, beat you with clubs and all this other stuff. Your defense is dignity and honor. When they spit on you, they want you to smile. And when you get through with this training, they actually give you an award, a medallion that you wore with pride because you got spat on the most and resisted the least. This is the Al Sharpton that's leading our civil rights movement today. And how do you disarm your oppressor? How do you disarm racism? By doing this? No, you disarm racism by owning your own businesses and industries, by having ownership and control over what determines your way of life. That's how you disarm racism, by not going to work for your oppressor. By saying whatever it is you have in your home, in your house, whatever ambitions and goals you have ownership and control over. You own the businesses, you own the institutions, you have the support, you got the people together, you got the unity, the culture, the heritage, the history. that's empowering you to move from this point forward. You don't disarm racism or oppression by still working for your employer. This is absolutely ridiculous. But if you thought that that was stupid, listen to what this guy say next, with a straight face.
Forces to disarm racism in America.
They really had a sense of discipline and dignity. What I love is that in the training they got, they were trained in sit-ins not to respond, not even to turn and look at the person, but also to control that impulse to fight or flee, and to do neither. They were specifically trained, if somebody spat in your face, ask them for a handkerchief. And sometimes what would happen is a person would reach and then say, hell no. But for one moment, they had reached and touched the human being attacking them. And the more you could do that, the more you had the discipline to stay on message and reach out, the better off you were, and ultimately the better off they were. One thing I like about...
I don't know what's more disgusting, that analogy or that historical lesson, or Al Sharpton with a smile on your face actually agreeing with him. Resist the urge to fight or flee. Somebody spit in your face, just stand there and take it with a smile on your face. And when they spit in your face, ask them for a handkerchief. And when you see the guy just sort of reach behind you, you know there's a human being somewhere in there. Even though he may stop and say, oh, heck no, heck no. You know there's a human being in there somewhere. This is why Al Sharpton should not be the civil rights leader of any organization. I mean, if you need anything more than this, what Negro today would even consider going through this training? And if you won't even think about going through it today, how today is Al Sharpton still agreeing with it? How come I could see you going through this when you was a child. But today to sit here and say, man, that was the stupidest thing I've done in my whole life, in the whole civil rights movement, I regret that the most. Teaching my people to sit up here and let these devils spat in their face and all this. We got to find another, just something. You cannot. This is your leader. This is the one that you love and you support. I cannot believe this.